Go.
Welcome back to yet another edition of Rep TV, the seldom seen, highly acclaimed version of the entire Rep Man empire. Today's guest is a regular with us. May I? I'm not going to get sued?
No.
Okay. This is Wayne McDonald, Academic Chair and Clinical Associate Professor at the NYU School of Professional Studies Tisch Institute for Sports Management, Media, and Business, better known as WMAC. I mean, if anybody can remember, he also purports to call himself and is known as Dr. Baseball, and yet you hold no PhD.
No PhD.
So, and we're talking about authenticity in baseball, and so anyway, the pot calling the kettle black. But we love you, and thank you for coming back.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's kick it off. Home runs. They're flying out of the ballpark at a record pace. Our guys back to roiding. Is the ball being juiced up like it was back in 1920? What do you account for the upsurge in home runs?
Well, I like to look at the numbers first. I'm always a big numbers guy, and if we look from 2000 to 2016, the last time we actually really saw this big bulk was in 2000 when we had 5,693 home runs leave the ballpark. The last time we've seen 5,000 home runs in the Major League season was in 2009. If you look over this time period, the Yankees and the Texas Rangers are the two big teams where all these home runs have been hit.
Is A-Rod the connection there?
You never know, because if you play for both teams, but each team led 4 times in Major League Baseball during that period of time.
This is the team, not the venue, correct?
The team.
Okay.
The team. So I look at what's going on in baseball right now from a couple of things. One, ballpark factors.
Yeah.
Okay, the ballparks aren't built like they used to be.
Right.
They're smaller, a little more
Yes,
ready to miss. You have that quality of pitching. And not every team has what the Mets have with their depth. Had. Probably the operative word right now. But not a lot of teams have your Clayton Kershaw's, your Madison Bumgarners, and
Jake Arrieta.
there you go.
Personal favorite.
They don't have them,
Yeah.
so there is such a dearth of elite pitching in the game. And also, too, you have young talent who's been conditioning all year round, so it's a different thing. I'm not going to judge it until we see the end of the season. Right now, we're at about 3,500 home runs for the season. It's a very robust pace, but I'm going to wait and see. But the ball definitely is flying out of the ball.
Steroids is not
That's
a reason.
my question.
And then, you know what, I think Major League Baseball and the Players Association has done an outstanding job of really cleaning that up, but we also have to be very honest. The cheaters will always be ahead of the system. Now,
That's me, boy.
so I don't think we're at the late 90s, early 2000s levels where we were in the game, but you know, we're still catching guys. You know, guys are still getting caught, but they're not getting caught in the droves that we had anticipated.
Right. So let's move on to Tough as Nails, the Lenny Dykstra, Kiss and Tell is an understatement, autobiography in which he just, destroys anyone and everyone's reputation. The stories that he tells about the '86 Mets, who he really likens as minor leaguers when it came to drug and alcohol abuse as compared to the 92, 93, 94 Phillies. Lenny wasn't even aware of Roids, right, with the Mets. Once he got to the Phillies, man, it was Roid City. At the same time, one of his major subplots is that Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and Sammy Sosa and all these guys should be in the Hall of Fame. Because, where do you draw the line between somebody who's been a child abuser, an alcoholic, a racist, and so somebody ingests steroids and he shouldn't be elected to the Hall of Fame? So that's his argument. I'd be curious on your take.
Anytime that you talk about the Baseball Hall of Fame and performance-enhancing substances, I go back to 3 key pillars: sportsmanship, integrity, and character. It's in the bylaws of the Baseball Writers Association of America when they vote for Hall of Famers. I spend a lot of time through this town. I speak up there often. I walk through that plaque gallery, and to your point, which is well said, there's alcoholics, there's abusers, you name it.
You've got Ty Cobb, you've got Rogers Hornsby. I mean, he doesn't get more racist.
Oh yeah, without question. And you're talking about Ty Cobb, original class, 1936.
Right.
But I think what we've seen is that the Baseball Hall of Fame has tried to evolve and put in these strict rules and guidelines.
Right.
The Baseball Roids tried to uphold.
Yes.
And, you know, we don't know where it's going just yet because we still haven't come to a conclusion with Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, and we have issues on the horizon. Manny Ramirez goes on the ballot next year, and let's face it, he's probably one of the greatest right-handed hitters of all time. But I am probably very old school in my thought process on it, that I think sportsmanship, integrity, and character should be adhered to. And, you know, we saw a guy like Ken Griffey Jr. go in the Hall of Fame this year. Those are the type of people, quintessential Hall of Fame players.
Right.
To that same point, Mike Piazza made it into Hall of Fame this
Right,
year.
he was roiding.
And well, I mean, there's a lot of polemical debate about that, and he's associated with that era. Is the fact that he made it in, does that mean that we're going to see more baseball writers who have, you know, votes in the Hall of Fame be more accepting of players who maybe not like an Alex Rodriguez type, but somebody who's maybe been associated with that in the past?
So I think Mike Piazza is the perfect example. He's never failed a drug test. There's been rumors, and if we
The way to game those tests, though.
yeah, oh I know, but also too, it goes back to the New York Times article from Murray Chass when he went into the Mets clubhouse and saw that he had back acne, and that's a byproduct of steroid use. And you know, I think the baseball writers looked at him and Craig Biggio, both guys who really should have been first ballot Hall of Famers. And I think they're realizing, okay, since we don't have that smoking gun like we do with Bonds and Clemens and Rodriguez and Ramirez and guys like
And Lenny.
Yeah.
Not Lenny's not a Hall of Famer, but I mean the guy became, you know, the Incredible Hulk.
And he to his point, he mentioned, I realized I couldn't play 162 games.
Right, his body was breaking down. And he also made the point that roid or no roid, you either know how to hit or you don't know how to hit. So the roids were really about keeping you healthy for 162 games. Do you agree with that?
Yes, and I look at it from this perspective. You look at Barry Bonds. He was born with hand-eye coordination.
No question.
You cannot teach that. The steroids and the performance-enhancing substances are for recovery. These guys are playing 162 games in 183 days, traveling cross-country, playing all hours of the day and night. It's a mental, physical, and emotional toll on your body.
Yeah.
And we heard the stories of going into the old Major League clubhouses with the fishbowl, the greenies.
The greenies, the amphetamines.
Yeah. And that was and coffee, and that was like, you know, par for the course back then. And I also think that's leading to Major League Baseball trying to have these conversations of, hey, maybe we need to shorten the schedule here. You know, and that's tied. I think that's part of the conversation as well, because these guys are going at it 183 days. It's pretty intense.
So I don't mean to belabor the point. So, not that Reyes is a Hall of Famer, but you know he was suspended for spousal abuse for God knows how many games. Suppose he had posted Hall of Fame numbers. Should that off the field activity be held against him?
I think the way the current charter is written, it probably would, because of the whole character and integrity clause. I think it definitely would. Remember, we also live in a digital era with Facebook's, Twitter, Instagram. We know everything. For example, I was at the baseball winter meetings this past year, and the chat stuff broke.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a press release was written. It was on Twitter.
Just leaked.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just leaked, and I watched it with my own eyes spread like wildfire all over Nashville. Within 10 minutes, millions of people knew without even having all the facts of the situation. So I think ball players and athletes in general today have a far more difficult time because of what social media. Also, too, can you imagine if we had Instagram and Twitter and Facebook when Babe Ruth played?
Unbelievable.
What we would have seen.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe people would never have voted for him to be a Hall of Famer.
What about contrition? Somebody of the likes of Andy Pettit, if we see people, whether they're using steroids, whether there's domestic violence charges, and they come out and say, you know what, I've changed my life, I'm not doing this anymore, will that be taken into consideration as far as the character and integrity?
Well, we're going to see with Pettit in the next couple of years because he will be eligible for the Hall of Fame. And he did, to his credit, he got ahead of the story. He went out to the press conference, but that doesn't change the fact they still use human growth hormone. I think that time will tell with that, and I think even if you take that situation away, he's a borderline candidate to begin with. So you have to look at it from that perspective, and I think you have to look at the totality of the athlete's accomplishments and also what happens off the field as well.
We are at The Good Doctor, even though he's not a PhD, has agreed to do a 2-part series with us. So we're going to take a break now so I can go to the men's room and ingest some steroids. We'll be right back, and Paul will be leading the next session. Thank you.